morning, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. We are here to discuss Pokemon Violet. And before we get too deep into it, if you want to support the show, we have something special going on this week. Go to multipleworldproductions.com/Black Friday. multipleworldproductions.com/Black Friday. And you can get free copies from the 22nd to the 26th. Free copies added to your Kindle library of Swan Song, In the End, The Muses, Duet, Our Past Does Not Define Us, Temple Outside Time, and Sizzle Reel are all available for free to add to your library in advance of Echo Delta coming out at the end of this week. All of them are available completely for free. So if you want to add them to your library, go ahead and add them to your library. If you want to pre-order Echo Delta Part 1, that you can pre-order at the bottom of the page. There's a link to pre-order that as well. So if you want to support the show, that's a great way to do it, and a great way to catch up in advance of Echo Delta Part 1. So, yeah, that is going on for the rest of this week through Saturday. Which brings us, and before we get too deep into this, I saw an article this morning while I was getting ready. It was one of two articles. I'm like, really? And this one was a comment from the editor of the Flash movie, and he's talking about why the movie's been delayed so much. And I'm like, I looked at the headline, I'm like, this has to be clickbait, because it's like, I know the answer. The answer is they want to see if they can keep Ezra Miller out of the news long enough that they can do a press tour with him without having to be like, okay, well, so what have you been up to? And it's like, well, we know what he's been up to, and it's not great. So yeah, it's that kind of thing where they want the current situations with Ezra to blow over, but that's not the answer this guy gave. And this guy says that they want to perfect the technology to make the effects look great, to have two of the same character on screen at once. To which I say, what the fuck? I thought we've perfected that already. Like, I thought we had that covered. Like, didn't we have, like, Lindsay Lohan play against herself in Freaky Friday in, like, 2000 and, like, or the late 90s? Like, and look at the TV show for The Flash. Like, look, that show gets shit on for its effects, but anytime Barry has to talk against Barry, it never looks bad. Like, the fuck? I genuinely don't understand what they're talking about when it's like, we need to make this, I don't know, it's just baffling to me that's like, it sounded like he was looking around the room like, what the fuck, why is this delayed? We can't say it's because of Ezra Miller, we have to make it look really good when there are two of the same person on screen at the same time. And it's like, okay, but like, we as a society, we figured this out to the point where soap operas can do it now. Like, soap operas, notoriously cheap soap operas, can do it. Why the fuck can't? I don't know. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Pokemon Violet, which is the version of the game that I played, and I'm on the fence about the game. Not in terms of the content and quality of the game, or the content of the game. The quality is kind of where I don't exactly gel with it. I mean, look, for me, as I just said, I watch CW. I like that clusterfuck of CGI where, Barry is fighting the other forces in the Speed Force didn't bother me that much. Been a lot of really shoddy effects over the course of 8 seasons. Effects not looking great. Don't bother me unless it's egregious, and it shouldn't. Like, it's kind of like a sliding scale. And let me just say this about Scarlet and Violet and why I'm hesitant to really take off a ton of points on it for this. None of the effects or the graphical glitches or the jank or whatever you want to call it, or the frame rate drops or anything like that, have impacted the game in terms of playability. Nothing has happened so far over the course of the runtime where it has been notably, like, the effects, like, you may get a camera at a weird angle in a battle, but the camera's movable, so it's just an easy fix. Just slide it a little bit. Like, it's, you know, it's one of those things where it's like they're and sometimes you'll get pop in where it's like something will pop in a little bit up the ways on a map instead of being directly in front of, or a mountain will pop in somewhere, or like, like entire structures or cities will just pop in, or Pokemon will pop in, which that can get annoying. That I'll concede is a little annoying, especially if you're trying to go with intent somewhere. The idea of having Pokemon in the overworld should be that you could be able to do anything. And on the one hand, I look at this and I'm like, look, this is, what's it called? This is a work in progress in a way. This is, you can lay on your horn all you want, motherfuckers. Like, you can, it is kind of like a lot of the things feel like kind of a step down from Arceus, but at the same time, Arceus is operating in an entirely different kind of environment. I think one of the things that would benefit Pokemon, and especially with people bitching about textures and all of that, which happens a lot. You get a lot of people bitching about textures when it comes to this game. I think that one of the things that would definitely benefit is committing to a more cartoony style instead of doing this, like, it looks like they're trying to be realistic, but like in an early 2000s kind of way, where it's like, well, it's trying to be realistic and it's not quite getting there. Maybe they committed to a more cartoony style, kind of like what what's it called did, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl did. Like, maybe if they did that, that would work a little better. But just in the confines of this game, where we're dealing in this, in this fully 3D environment and this fully rendered and open world, it's like it's obvious you can't keep too much going. You're not quite there yet. But what you do need is you need to do something to get this kind of on track in a way. And I think that and the game is totally fun. Like, I didn't realize that I was still on, like, the plateau, for lack of a better word, if we're referring to, like, Breath of the Wild, the tutorial plateau, for a while, because I was like, oh, this is awesome, I can just catch Pokemon, I can do this, and then once you get through that initial, like, every Pokemon game has this slog for the first few hours, where you're kind of just, or first hour, really, where you're just kind of stuck into a tutorial. And there should, and again, this is the one thing that, for me, I wish they would do, is, give the option to get rid of the tutorial, because, like, I've been playing Pokemon longer than I would assume a good amount of people who are making the game have been working for the Pokemon Company at this point. I don't know how many of the original staff are still there, but 30 years on, I've been playing Pokemon for a very long time. I don't need to sit here and be tutorialized. I would like the ability to turn that off, and just be able to skip the tutorial. I don't need the story aspect. Just get me into the open world as quickly as possible, so that way I can, go and do whatever I want. And to the game's credit, that is kind of how it works. Once you get past the tutorial, it's like, alright, have fun, go out and do things. There are 3 quest lines, and I think that that's another thing that really benefits the game, because when I heard, oh, there are 3 stories, it's like, do I have to pick one and commit to that for the entire thing? because obviously I'm going to pick the Pokemon League, but the way it works with the 3 quest lines is you are given all 3 quest lines, and then all 3 of them show up on the map in different spots, and you have to just, and it's not go in order to A to B to C to D. It's just, here's the open map, here is where all the things to get all of the Titan Pokemon are, here's where all the gyms are, and here's where all the Team Star bases are. Just go in and do it that way. And it's like, it's a great way to do things. I'm totally on board with this, and I really like it. And the reason why I'm not saying that the graphics are that big of an issue is because while they're janky, while the pop-in is a little weird, while some things don't exactly flow as nicely as they should, while the textures aren't great and all of that, I still look at the game and I'm like, look, if to be fair, I'm not saying the Pokemon Company is a small company. Not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they were slow to get on this train, so they are playing catch up in a weird way. They are trying to get to the point where everyone else was years ago. Because really what this game is it's a unordered version of like Shadow of the Colossus. It's got this giant open world. You can go do whatever the fuck you wanted. You can go explore, or you can go that was one of the things that I was like, this is amazing. But in a world where they're now at the point where other games were years ago, they're playing catch up. They don't and it's something where it's obviously a memory issue. Obviously it's a memory issue. Obviously, and I saw people saying well, it's because the Switch can't handle it. And then I'm like, well, then if you don't have the capability to develop within the confines of the console you're developing for, you shouldn't make the game the way it is then. But I think that giving, for the amount of graphical glitches there are, and graphical anomalies, and frame rate drops and things like that, the fact that there isn't unbreakable game-ending glitches that are just wrecking the game up and down the thing, where it's the fact that doesn't exist is just kind of incredibly impressive to me. Especially with the number of glitches that kind of permeate this game. It is intriguing to me, to say the least. And look, I mean, I feel kind of the same way I did about Red Dead Redemption 2. Where it's like, look, I got to a point in the game where I'm comfortable. I can go out and fuck around in the open world. I'm thrilled about that. And really, all I've ever wanted from a game is just, here is this entire world. Go explore, go look for shit, do it at your own pace, do the story in the order you want. And that's the thing, too, about this that I really like. There's no sense of urgency to it at the point in the game I'm up to. There is no, you have to go, or it's like that's one of those things where it always feels kind of weird. If you look at, Breath of the Wild, yes, you can go do whatever you want, but considering the stakes of the game, it does feel a little weird if you're going out and cooking copiously and just wandering around and exploring and doing all these side missions and looking for Korok seeds, and it's like, well, there are bigger things to do. Same goes for Sonic Frontiers to an extent, where it's like, you look at that and you're like, the stakes are kind of big here. Your friends are trapped in cyberspace. You might want to get on that instead of fucking around and trying to do all this other bullshit. But I don't think that it's really I think that this is, the stakes are kind of low, and I think it works because the stakes are low. Some of the new Pokemon designs I'm not thrilled about. I think that they're starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel, and I think if there's one thing I think that they need to do is, I think Bank needs to turn into a live service, where you're paying the $5.99 a year storage fee, or however much it is for the year for the storage fee, but also add a Coliseum, or not Coliseum, or like a Battle Revolution, or stadium style battling thing for people to battle with each other. I feel like that's the best way to make that really work. Yeah. I haven't tried the Union Room yet. I haven't tried a lot of the other features of the game. Well, I mean, specifically that one. But, yeah, the game's pretty fun. I'm actually really enjoying it. And I think that part of it is, here's my biggest problem with the game is the raids. The raids are not handled well, in my opinion. The raids are, what's it called? Kind of all over the place. And they're all over the map. And if you recall from, what was the other games? If you recall from Sword and Shield, the raids were also all over the map in those games, but the map was a lot smaller. So the fact that it was going, you had to go all over and activate all of them to get them to refresh and get new ones, that was kind of okay. Here the map is so big that the Terrastal raids take a while. You have to go around to all of them. I think I have yet to encounter a natural reset besides it turning midnight and it resetting that way. And that's the only way I've encountered this game so far, where it will reset the raid crystals. That way you can do another raid. Which, alright, fine, I get it. And you do get some funny type combinations. Like, I've gotten the little chipmunk dude, whose name I'm forgetting. Like, I'm getting him, and, yeah, I feel like it's like, I've gotten him as a dragon type, and I'm like, alright, well, that's useful. Somewhat, somehow, I feel like, maybe, I don't know. Can you use, I haven't tried it yet, but can you use a TM for that move type on a Pokemon of that type? So let's say for example I have that little early game chipmunk dude, the regional rodent, I think from what's it called from Sword and Shield, if I remember correctly. That's where that's from. And that little guy is what's I'm looking for here. That little guy is a dragon type. Can I teach it Dragon Pulse now? Otherwise, the Terrastal is just gonna adjust what affects it. But yeah, and I think giving it the Dragon type, it's useful, but you don't get stabbed. So I'm not entirely sure the point of. I got to do a little more research into Terrastal and how that works. But it's cool. It is pretty cool. Yeah, I think the only issue with the Terrastal raids is that, and I understand why. The Terrastal will change the type of the Pokemon instead of adding a type, it seems. From what I've noticed so far. Where if you add in a poison type, it doesn't add poison type as a third type. It just changes the type wholesale to poison. So you end up with these situations where you're battling and you're stuck with this weird kind of situation where it's like, alright, well, I'm just giving up the type advantage. And then you just send in, it's like I have Shelter that has Aura Beam, and it's like, alright, well, anything that's Dragon type, this is going to be pretty easy. So, just tank my way through it. But, they're still fun, and that was one of the things I really liked doing, and I think it does make leveling up a lot easier. And I think that the trainers not being as intrusive as they are is also useful, because the idea that you have to, go and talk to a trainer specifically to battle them is a great idea. Because I really don't want to have to battle every single person I encounter in this game, because it'd be fucking ridiculous. And then especially if you end up accidentally wandering into an area that's higher leveled, that could be catastrophic for you. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't think they're going to fix the graphical glitches via a patch. I don't think the issue is that big of a deal. I think that what they're looking at is, we have sold the game. The game is, you have your game, have a great day, have a nice life. We do not need to address this ever again. There may be DLC down the line. I have yet to see any data miners crack that. I don't recall if data miners cracked that for Sword and Shield before that announcement. But I have yet to see anything yet. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but would be interesting if it did. But yeah, I think that is everything for this so far. When I finish the game, I'll do a full review. This is just first impressions. I've beaten the first gym, beaten the first Titan, and beaten the first, what's that thing called? The first Team Star base. So that'll give you a sense of where I am, and I have all these opinions on it based on this. So I'm a few hours in. I'm a good 6-7 hours in, but I'm not, doing terribly poorly, and I'm not, doing a great, speed run. I'm taking my time. But we'll wrap up there for today. We should be going to see another movie tonight. I'm not entirely sure which one yet. I think it's going to be Strange World. We'll take a look at the times and all of that. That will be later this evening. And we will also have more stuff this week as it happens. Andor is ending tomorrow. So Thanksgiving Day, get ready for Andor episode 12. So, until then, have a great rest of your week.